Oh, that's right. Okay. Ready for 3?
Yeah. Yes.
Literally how our cold open this week started was you took a big breath in and I interrupted you. And then that was funny. And this time you did it to me. And so I guess payback is a bitch. And this is Gaytriarchs. Okay, so Gavin and I were just talking before we started recording, and Gavin was like, you got to put this on. And it was usually just my trauma dump that we do right before we record.
Which is, yes, we have our therapy trauma dump, and then we pretend that everything's, light and breezy.
On purpose, though, because when yes. we made the show, the goal was like, let's do something that is cotton candy. It's forgettable. Yeah. It is not meaningful. And Gavin keeps pushing me on it. And I know, and it never happens. But anyway, I was talking about, I'm learning Dutch right now. For those of you who don't know, I'm on Duolingo day 66, I think. And it is partly therapeutic because
because who knows what's going to happen?
Because I am way more glass half empty on things. I am 10, as we talked about with poker, I'm 10 steps ahead in this process already. I'm not worried about
this is going to be your survival now. Yeah. Your survival trait is going to be the long term. I can't see the forest for the trees at all. or the trees for the forest, whatever the metaphor may be, You are going to Dutch it up. So
I'm Dutching it up.
So what is it like? Do you actually feel like a toddler right now learning a new language? Can you suddenly relate to your daughter and her vocabulary growth?
I mean, it's wild to learn a language as a 45-year-old man because I speak
on
Spanish.
Your phone.
Yeah, exactly. I speak Spanish, but I learned Spanish in middle and high school and college. And I had I had a regular class and I had teachers and I had workbooks and I had all that kind of stuff, and it's taught in a different way. Duolingo, if you've never used it, is an immersion program. It is like you just jump into the pool. They say nothing to you. They just have a picture of a horse and they say pard. And you go, okay, I guess that's pard. And then it just moves on from there.
Just sheer memerization. I wonder if the logic behind it is that at all how toddlers learn? Just like
probably.
Or is it complete? I mean, we're comparing apples to pard.
We are playing, yes. And this is not a funny or interesting opening, but Gavin forced me to say it. So that is what I'm doing. That is my therapy for dealing with the world, is going, you know what? If I have to emigrate to the Netherlands, which is a wonderful place, which I've lived in before.
If I have to proposition a Dutchman, this is how I'm going to do it.
Listen, if I have to be in or outside of a Dutchman, I will do that as a service to his country.
But then... speaking of Dutch, I was in New Amsterdam yesterday.
AKA New York City.
Nice, huh? Nice. Yes. I didn't see any parts. And but what I did see was I was on nostalgia daddyhood, walking around. I happened to be on the Upper West Side. I had 3 meetings for work. And there were so many kids walking around with nannies. And my kids, A, we never had a nanny because couldn't afford one. And B, we had weird schedules, so we didn't need somebody during the day. But anyway, walking around and like being in that world, it is just, we had Gabrielle and Nathan on, and we were talking so much about the difference between having kids in the city and out of the city. And you're reminded it is another beast in there. And when you're not in the city, it's just so completely different. But walking around and seeing all those toddlers with nannies and toddlers in McDonald's and toddlers at Starbucks and parents with toddlers at Starbucks on iPads, and just it's a thing. But I miss those toddler days. That's another thing. Like my little male ovaries, my male ovaries were like, I don't need a baby, but
you're doing the thing that I complain about a lot, but I'm going to defend you. Don't worry. I'm going to slap you and then hug you because I'm a domestic abuser. But what always, as we know, as I talk, no, not funny at all. But the thing that I complain about all the time is these older parents are like, oh, but I miss it. You're going to miss it. Blah blah blah, and they forget the 24 hours. However, Gavin, my kids are now 5.5 and 3. And a lot of the shitty, boring, stupid parts are gone. No diapers, no extra strollers, none of that stuff. And I'm kind of like missing a little bit every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like I haven't held a baby in so long. My kids are fucking massive and they don't want to be held by me. But it's funny. Speaking of that, I've been traveling a lot lately, and
have you?
I have been almost every weekend I've been gone, and one thing started to change, and it scares me because it's going to start to pull the rug out from my soapboxing I've been doing for a long time, which is, Gavin, I missed my kids. I was gone for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Which normally I'd be like, I didn't think about the kids. I was in my hotel watching The Office the whole time.
Who cares? You're right.
I was literally like, oh, I want to see them again. What is wrong with me? What is happening?
Start a new podcast. Go.
I gotta start a new podcast. But while I was gone, there's all these things that happened. So I put them in order. So missing the kids, number one. Number two, there was this family on the train to the airport when I was in Chicago that was there, and they had like maybe a 1.5-year-old, and dad was literally carrying a giant car seat and a giant plastic bag and two huge suitcases. Mom had this massive stroller. Kid was having a meltdown. They looked like fucking asshole. And I was just like looking at all their stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not in that phase anymore.
Thank God.
Thank God. And I, of course, then I was like, oh, but it's so fun to push him. No, David, stop it. No, it is not. It is.
Snap out of it.
Snap out of it. But I did the thing, Gavin, that I do every time. And I've complained about this, which is I stare at these kids and smile at them and then smile at the parents, assuming they know that I'm a parent of a child as well. Yeah. And then I lock eyes with these dads and moms looking at me like, stop staring at my daughter, you fucking freak. So it was a wild weekend. But the one last thing I want to mention on my weekend away was I was working at this dance studio, and the owner of the dance studio was talking to me like, hey, whatever. And she casually mentioned, she goes, oh, well, my best friend, who's a gay man and married to his husband, I'm going to be their surrogate. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, girl, let's talk. And it was really fun to hear of a surrogate in the wild getting ready to do this fucking process. And she's doing traditional surrogacy, so it is a whole.
So please explain for a listener what that means.
Yeah. So what Gavin and I did was called gestational surrogacy, where we had an egg donor who was a separate person than the gestational surrogate who actually grew the baby inside of them. So the gestational surrogate is not biologically related to the child. And
not, so the mom and the carrier are not one and the same.
Correct. The egg donor and the carrier are not the same. Right. However, traditional surrogacy, they are the same. So the surrogate is actually getting pregnant with her own egg. So she is 50% biologically related to this child. And then so that changes a lot of the laws and all that kind of stuff. But it was wild. It was so fun to hear.
That's a layer of complication, frankly.
Legally, because she...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, this is why it was illegal way back in the day. Baby Jane or whatever from the early 80s or late 70s or whatever it was in New Jersey. That's what started the whole anti-surrogacy movement in blue states.
So it was really cool to like have this weekend and then meet this like surrogate that's joining in the process. And of course I was like, oh, this is gonna be so exciting, so fun for you. On the inside, I was like, this is gonna be a nightmare. Good luck. Good luck with this. But
terrible.
I'm a changed person because Gavin, I now have another moment of awe.
What?
Yeah. So my daughter, who is pretty good at bedtime. It's one of her few times that she's pretty solid. I put her down, I say goodnight, and I walk out of the room and close the door. Lately, she's been on this like sticky sweet vibe. And now when I leave, I say, I love you, Hannah. And she goes, I love you, Dada. And I say, I love you too. She goes, I love you more. And she does this like sticky sweet back and forth, I love you shit. And it totally works. It totally works. It totally
on your cold-hearted
works. It has melted the outer layer of my cold black heart.
Did you ever watch Little Britain?
No.
Back in the day? Little Britain is a show that everybody should stop, turn this stupid podcast off anyway, as if you needed a reason, and go watch Little Britain from the early aughts, I suppose. And it was these two hilarious British comedians who just did sketch comedy, and it was very queer friendly. There was one, have you ever heard the term, I'm the only gay in the village? Okay, well, anyway, there were lots of... It was all irreverent in only the ways that British people do so very, very well. And there was one scene that was recurring scene between a mom and a daughter, I suppose, both played by the two men, of course, because that is the British way. And it would quickly go down a rabbit hole of, I love you more than ice creamy. I love you more than balloons. I love you more than birthday cake. I love you more than blowjobs. And the parent and the kid would one up each other. I love you more than felching in a condom. I love you more than this. And
Gavin, this is a Christian podcast. Please do not.
Got completely over the top and truly hilarious and side-splittingly disgusting. And again, in the way that only the British can do so well. So I'm glad I have now utterly poisoned your moment of awe as you try to refrain from going beyond unicorns and sundaes for the next time.
Yes.
I, however, am not a changed man. I am continuing the battle with my daughter to get her into the band, right? The saga continues, and I just want to give the brief update, which is we have moved from bribery to threats. because I'm going to win this, and I've had this conversation with so many people, and basically everybody's is like, I get it. Gavin, you're right. You are right. Which, of course, I love. Let's just stop there. But also, everybody's like, I'm not sure that forcing her and threatening her is going to be the way to
You're not making a musician. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
No, I am just forcing, I don't know.
Because you don't want her to love music. You just want her to be in a music class is what you're doing. Yes. Right?
I want her to see that the garden is worth cultivating. And right now she doesn't realize that there are fields of flowers to be had and fresh strawberries and tomatoes. Nope, she just sees a fallow asphalt field. And so I'm trying to force it. I know I am not learning very well whatsoever. But speaking of not learning very well, this actually relates to this relates to the news of the week. So one bit of cynically good news is that there was a man in Utah who was a conversion therapy psychiatrist who was convicted of abusing his clients.
Applause.
Now, in no way, this is such a dark story, such a very, very, very dark story, obviously, and our hearts go out to all of the victims, of course. But boy, does it feel good. There's some retribution there for being like, conversion therapy, y'all, it doesn't work. And why would you try to do something like this? And because, who is not molesting children? Drag queens and gay dads,
not a single fucking one.
Yep. But who maybe is these people who are trying to, suppress and repress. So I felt like that was sort of good news of the week.
Absolutely, that's good news. And you know what else is good news?
Tell me.
DILF of the week.
Yeah.
If you have been living under a rock, it probably sounds pretty peaceful underneath there. However, above the rock, Robert Irwin, Steve Irwin's son, who has taken over his business, and he's now he's the head of the conservation fund. He just came out with this like underwear shoot, and of course it was all to like get eyes on his conservation thing, or whatever.
Well done.
And it worked. First of all,
you've now donated all of your proceeds from Gaytriarchs to his fund.
Correct. I don't know if you saw our we got an email for our latest round of advertising, and it was like 48 cents. But nice. Yeah, it was really nice. But first of all, he's 21. So he's on the young side. It's a little young. However, so hot, so beautiful. Also, he's so kind and so sweet. My issue, if you have seen these photos, he's wearing like the grossest Walmart straight underwear you've ever seen in your time. They're like long boxer briefs.
Or what?
No, they're like boxer briefs with like a wide waistband that has like the name on it, and like it just there's nothing sexy about it. Like I would have appreciated a sexier underwear, but he's in every photo he's got like a fucking tarantula on his face or a snake on his arm or whatever. It's a great campaign. So, and he is a dad, so he is our DILF of the week, Robert Irwin.
All right, Bobby. So completely unrelated to that, another holiday is right around the corner. It's Easter, and that is the inspiration for our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
This was my completely uncreative list, but I do have to say, I don't know, Easter is a lovely next phase for spring and rejuvenation and the bunnies and all the things and everything. So I'm curious if you have any family traditions or things that you're trying to foist upon your kids to make them think this is a day that is worth not just being on your iPad or device all day long and thinking this is something special, right? Some sense of formality. So number 3 for me is watching movies in the afternoon and in the evening. I consider, since I was a very little kid, I remember when my mom rented Clue, the movie, on VHS, and we watched it twice, 2 times in a row, front to back, in the afternoon.
But then you had that 10-minute break while it had to rewind.
Yeah.
Which, for kids out there, rewinding was the thing that the physical tape had to do before you could watch it again.
So ever since I was a little kid, Easter's have always been movie afternoons for us because what better way to just like welcome spring, I guess. And so in my mind, it's just a screw off day and you get to watch lots of movies. Number 2, egg coloring. Obviously, I love egg coloring. That is very, very fun. And with my kids, we've tried to jerry rig ways that we can do, 2 colors on one egg, and like the creativity involved there, and seeing my kids just brighten at the idea of egg coloring is obviously very fun. And then number 1 for me is egg salad sandwiches for the next 4 weeks.
Isn't that like cannibalism on Easter? Isn't that some sort of like weird perverted bunny?
Probably. I mean,
thing?
Listen, when you're trying to look at the symbolism of bunnies and chickens and eggs, we're
talking about sex here. That's what, right? I mean, that's right. Easter is based on the pagan rituals.
It is.
Yeah.
Pagan rituals of flourishing and
fertility.
Fertility.
Yeah.
And thanks for that.
I mean, it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's like just fucking like bunnies and then eating egg salad sandwiches.
Yeah. Just a normal holiday. Just a normal American holiday.
What about you, David?
So I totally ignored your prompt because A,
you're an atheist.
Yeah, I'm an atheist, but B, I feel like all Easter traditions are the same. Easter egg hunts and egg dyes or whatever. So I was like, what do I want to say? These are my top 3 Easter memories.
Okay.
So you're just going to have to get over it. Yeah.
Way to make it all about you.
Yep. So number 3, when I was very young, we lived in Washington, D.C., and my parents both worked. My mom worked at the White House. My dad worked at the Pentagon, and so we're a very government family. And we got to go to the White House.
Wait, what?
You didn't know that?
We went through an entire interview where I was asking you about yourself, and
but you asked me like 2 questions about me and 10 questions that were really questions for you. Let's be honest. So you didn't ask me about this.
Have done the White House Easter egg?
I did.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's the White House Easter egg hunt, and this was in the course of the 1400s, where But my memory was I was walking with my mom. And at some point, I remember turning to my left. It's a very visceral moment. And I remember looking at like a band. It was like a live band playing. And they were playing some
And Harry Truman was conducting.
Yep. And Abraham Lincoln got shot. It was so scary. And so I looked over at the band. I was like, oh, there's band people. And I turned to look forward and my mom was gone. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm lost. It's packed. What do I do? And maybe 2.5 seconds later, my mom comes running up to me, screaming and sobbing. Oh, my baby, where have you been? Like panicking. But hi, Mom, you're a listener. And so that is number 3. That is my Easter, just seeing my mom screaming, panicking because I was lost for 2.5 seconds. Number 2, my grandfather used to host the big Easter egg hunt, and it was super fun. And he would hide hundreds of these plastic eggs. He would hide, fucking chocolates or pennies or whatever in it. That was not my memory. My memory was in like November when we'd be playing in his yard and we would just find these like decaying eggs hidden amongst the bushes. And so we'd have this like magical second Easter egg hunt where we'd find this like rotten chocolate in July, and we'd be like, yum. And we would and it was so fun. So finding eggs off time at my grandfather's house. And number 1, this is not even a Easter memory. It's one of my favorite things. I don't know why. I cannot explain why it's better, but chocolate tastes better when it's in a hollow, like when you bite into a chocolate bunny's ear and it's like hollow and it like crackles in your mouth. Oh, there's nothing better than that. So that's my number 1 Easter tradition. That's not a tradition. And I totally ignored your list.
I honor that because it was a pretty weak list. But how are you going to top it for next week?
I do love topping. And so next week, we are going to do what are the top 3 songs that are a mood? Like what it could be any mood, right? It could be energizing. It could be just like, but you know, those songs that you play and it's just like, I am transported to another world. Top 3 songs that are a mood. Okay. Our guest this week is a gay turducken. He's a gay man with 2 gay dads who's on a gay podcast. And while that may sound delicious, his accolades don't stop there. He's a volunteer firefighter. He owns his own private jet consulting company, whatever that is, has an adorable dog, and yes, boys, his Instagram is full of shirtless selfies.
Sure is.
All the single ladies, please line up for our guest this week, Ethan Levy. Hi, Ethan.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And
absolutely.
I mean, between flights or as you were changing planes or something, just being able to slip into a little podcast. Thank you.
Exactly. There you go.
So we were talking before we started recording about like, what even is that? As I'm going through your bios and like internet stalking you, I see this. Tell us what this like private jet consulting thing is before we jump into all the gay stuff, which is
sure. So I've been obsessed with aviation my entire life. Nobody knows where I get that from because my gay parents are very much so not obsessed with that. And so I ended up working for a major U.S. airline when I was 18 years old, from about 18 until I was like 21. And then I went into volunteer firefighting EMS. And after that, I was like, I want to go back to the aviation space. I miss it. You know, what do I do? So I started working for an individual that sold private jet charters out of Palm Beach or West Palm Beach in Florida. And, you know, I did really well on the sales team and I was like, you know, pushing the company along. And I wasn't seeing what I thought I should have been seeing for my efforts. So I kind of had like a fuck you moment and basically was just like, I'm going to go start my own thing impulsively, of course.
Nice.
And sure enough, you know, once we started ironing things out, it became like a legitimate business. So now I offer consulting services in the form of, you know, charters or advising clients on what type of aircraft to get, selling them, you know, facilitating the sale, stuff like that. And now I'm doing a lot of tech work. So we're launching another company that's going to be data driven for you know the aviation or business aviation side of the world.
Still, everything that you said still kind of makes me go, yeah, but what do you do exactly?
Right.
Forgive him.
It's basically like being a jet assistant for the ultra wealthy. That's basically you know what it is.
And you aren't a pilot, are you? Or do you want to be a pilot?
No, I'm not. Nope.
You don't want to fly them, you just want to ride them.
Right, exactly.
Wow, there it is. And there it is.
Yep.
But also gays, I feel like inherently we love status with airlines.
Yes.
We love,
oh my gosh.
do you know what I mean? Like I will protect my status probably more than I would protect my own children. Like if somebody's like, you can't have Premier Silver this year with United, I'd be like, you can go fuck yourself. I'll light your house on fire. Wait, let's get to why you're here first, because you came across my FYP. I was telling Gavin before you joined years ago. I don't know why. I don't know how. I just very much remember your video talking about your dads. And then you kind of disappeared into the ether as one does. And then you came back through again. And I was like, that's the guy. Oh my God. That's the guy. He'd be so great on Gaytriarchs. So your video, I remember, was you talking about being raised by 2 gay dads, which I think is such a cool perspective for our listeners, because we have had lots of gay dads on the show. We've had gay people, but we haven't had a gay person who was raised by gay dads, who finally, the gays got one. We got one with our little hoot or talons. So tell us a little bit about like you and your life growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in New York City my entire life until I was about 18 years old. It was a lot of Fire Island every single weekend. So I would go to the Pines every week. I mean, I know it like the back of my hand at this point. But yeah, so it was a lot of drag shows. My dad was constantly in the Invasion. He did it. I think he did it for like 5 or 6 years with a couple of friends. And then, you know, we were one of, I think my more popular videos was talking about the Scalp House drag party and like people asking me like, how did you know when you were gay? Stuff like that. And I think my defining moment was wanting to go as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz with the real, basket dog or Toto in a basket. So that was really, kind of a moment where I should have been there or stopped and said, wait, like this is maybe something else. But yeah, I grew up going to school on the Upper West Side. I, had a stint where I wasn't the best teenager. I don't think if you grow up in New York City, you're exposed to a lot very early on. So that kind of the influence there was, kind of hard for me to deal with, but got my life back on track and kind of, took a break there for a little bit. And yeah, I was in a relationship last year or ended last year. And it was kind of like, it was very rocky, like, police got involved and stuff like that. And it was not an ideal situation. So I turned to TikTok to be like, hey, this is my audience. Like, let me start talking. Let me just like get to know people on here. Cause I moved to a city where I didn't really know anybody. So I was going to try to network that way. And it just turned into like this world of opportunity that I would have never had or imagined otherwise. So, definitely a cool route to take. And I love it.
In the way that all kids rebel against their parents, did you think to yourself, oh shit, I can't be gay. I need to be straight to piss my parents off?
Oh yeah. So it was more so I was scared that like there was such a stigma around because I had two dads that I was going to be gay myself. And like, it was stigmatized that like my parents would influence that decision or it would be because of my parents that I was gay. So like, I didn't even want to come out. And I waited until I was about 18 or 19 years old to come out because I didn't want people to like be right about that.
Yeah.
And, like, they didn't really influence it. It was just more so like, it was what it was. And that's just kind of how the cookie crumbled. And I love it.
But like there was an ego there, right? Of like, you're like, they said, I remember that too. Listen, I was a chubby figure skater who liked musical theater. The writing was not only on the wall, it was in neon sign blaring at me. And when people were like, you should just come out, I did exactly that. I was like, no, I'm definitely not gay. You think I'm gay? I'm definitely not gay. And I think a lot of people would assume, oh, you're being raised by two gay dads. There's no reason to come out. You're just automatically gay.
Right, exactly. My parents, and they were surprised. Like, honestly, they were surprised. And I was like, wow, I hit it really well.
Oh, for better or for worse.
Those late nights with Charlotte, like the NYU student that I was seeing when I was 17 years old.
Wow. So many questions about just growing up in New York City. I don't know that we've had many people even talking about that, which is a completely different thing. But interesting. If you ever had kids, would you try to avoid raising them in New York for that? Oh, really?
100%. Yeah. And I also just I like the idea of like being close to city, but having enough space to like, let them grow up and kind of like, I want to give my kids their free time and have them do what they do, but like educate them obviously on kind of the risks and things associated and like build that trust. My parents and I had a very kind of back and forth relationship. It was very give and take, kind of like, I'll give you a little and then like take a little. It was, it is what it is. But I want my kids to have like the space to grow up and not all the outside influence with 8 million people, on top of them.
Trying to overcome each other and one up each other in all of their fabulosity. But did you know any other kids of gay parents growing up?
Yes, I did. There was like 5 of us on the Fire Island Pines that were essentially the Fire Island kids. And like there were 3, I believe, that were actually kids of gay parents. And then there were like 2 that were contractors' children that like just came out every weekend. So yeah, we had our little clan out there. But other than that, I really haven't met that many people, let alone now in the community like myself. Like I haven't met people. TikTok has been good for that because there have been certain people that have been like, oh yeah, I'm gay too. That's usually lesbians. But for the most part, like I haven't really experienced that except for, the people now on Fire Island or when I was leaving, like towards, I guess it was like 2011 or something like that, maybe a little older. There were a lot of parents now adopting kids and like, or surrogacy, and there were tons of kids out there, but growing up, it was scarce. There was virtually no one.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go back a little bit to your parents and if you can even remember or feel this was, when did you realize that you had parents that were other? Because I fear that for my kid, because my kid is so blissfully unaware. He's like, these are my 2 dads. And his friend, he's in kindergarten. So he's like, it's just, everything is normal. Nobody really considers anything. But I know the day is coming when he's going to realize, wait, this isn't what everyone else has. Right. Do you remember that moment?
I think I don't think it was like an aha moment. I think it was gradual over time, because we used to read this book that was like all families are all different types of colors, and it was like purple, red, you know what I mean? And it would kind of break down like in, childish or elementary terms, like what race is, what sexuality is, stuff like that. So I think that was like a soft launch of it. And then once I really realized was then when we were talking about my mother, because like obviously that had come up. I had a babysitter growing up, so like I always associated her as kind of my motherly figure. So I think in the beginning of my life, I didn't really notice that she wasn't my mom. I thought she just was, and she would be there every morning and every
she was
night.
Just paid.
Right.
So my mom was paid to be with me.
Exactly. There you go. Right. Exactly. But yeah, and then we were sitting down on the couch one night, and I think that's when I really noticed like that my dynamic was different. I had already known I was gay. Like I knew since I was like kindergarten that I was gay. I thought the teacher was hot. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I thought my kindergarten teacher was hot, and he was gay, which was ironic. So I had a lot of.
You guys could smell each other from a mile away.
Right, literally. Literally.
Yeah. Oh my God, I remember my 5th grade gym teacher, Mr. Vermeeren. He had these short shorts.
It's always gym teachers.
Oh yes, because they're athletic and there's just a power there.
Oh yeah.
I think most of my gym teachers growing up were lesbians. Actually, now that
really,
I haven't had that thought yet, but that did not sway me.
But there was there's queer energy from gym teachers. Yeah.
100%. They have that. 100%. They tease you. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be so fascinating to live in a world where none of this is weird, and to think that I mean a higher percentage. Are there more than just 10% queers out there who need to have a safe space to just live their lives? And but I won't go down that path of nostalgia.
I know. I was going to say
this is getting way too tier adjacent. But were you ever? Did you ever try to hide the fact that you had gay parents from any of your friends?
100%.
You did? Wow.
Yes, because it was looked at both ways. Like I was automatically judged for it, or it was, something in which I would have to like go beat up a kid because like they were, derogatory towards my parents, or just saying like hateful shit towards my parents. So I did a lot of that, honestly, growing up, was like defending my like parents. I got suspended. I like, that type of thing, because I'm the type of person where they did raise me not to let people mess with me. So I'm not going to let people mess with me.
Wow.
Well, that's good trouble, right? That's the good trouble.
Right. Those days were the best. Those suspension days, like, because it was like, the kid said fag or whatever, and I would go handle it.
Yeah. I love it. You're like, I'm going to go handle this, Dads. Yeah. I'll be right back.
Right. So how has that mentality informed your business decisions and how you run your company?
I think they're kind of parallel, honestly. Like when I started my company, I was very much so driven and I was motivated to like just shut everybody out of business type of thing. And I was just like, excelling. And I after a while, I kind of just developed this flow where I would be like, yes, no. And like, I filled the CEO role a lot more than I thought I was comfortable with initially when I started. So now I actually look at myself as the CEO rather than like, I'm just doing this for fun, because it's turned into like, such a legitimate business. But in the beginning, like it was that kind of apprehension initially, but like once you do it the first time, like once I handled one of those kids the first time, nobody wanted to really mess with me again. But like if they did, they knew that like I would stand up for myself. So you kind of get bullied a little bit and like toughen up. And then once you realize like what you're capable of, that's when you, I think, push forward. And so in my business, I've done the same thing.
And David, you realize that so much of that is counted, like they count on you backing down from all of those threats. Like that is inherent in it. And when you stand up, they're like, fuck.
Right. Exactly. They want to say something. And then once I say something about it, they either try to like, gaslight you into saying like you're crazy for feeling the way you feel, which then I'm going to go double as hard at that point, because I'm not going to be told I'm crazy. But or they just like are like, dude, what's the problem? Like I didn't mean to do this, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, so shut the fuck up.
So you advise people on renting a plane and or buying a plane, right?
Correct.
So that means you know all of the details from what General Electric / Rolls-Royce engine there is, plus the thread count on the sheets that come in the beds in the back.
Yep.
Plus how many bricks of cocaine can fit in the baggage area.
And kilos of gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And bodies and all the things. Yeah.
I bet you have your finger on the pulse of the world economy right now, too. Do you have any economic advice based on what people are buying or renting? What
I would say invest in gold. Gold is going,
Isn't it too late?
I mean, it's already a little too late, but
the fact that Gaytriarchs, this is the finest news source for Americans, obviously.
Right.
But if we are giving advice to buy gold, I'm pretty sure that means it's now time to sell your gold, frankly.
That's true. Gold. Just do the opposite of whatever we say.
Right.
But, so with your taste in planes, I'm curious, how often are you watching a movie or a TV show and go, damn, that's a nice plane? Or
I go most of the time I'm like, damn, that's fake. I'm like, I just honestly, I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn, that's not even they couldn't even do this the right way. But for the most part, I don't really I deal a lot with obviously very high end aircraft. So for me, Kim Kardashian's jet is tacky and it's $150 million plane. You know what I mean? Don't come for me, Kim. I'm sorry. But it's
she's definitely a listener. But if she wants to be a guest on Gaytriarchs, please come to us, Kim.
Exactly.
We would love to have you.
No, but it's I think there are a lot of planes. I would never, actually, I'm not going to say that, but I would never personally invest in an aircraft. I just think that it's kind of, you have to have a lot of money on an annual basis to it. And it's just not really something that, I don't think a lot of people, they think they can afford it, obviously. And then once they start getting into the numbers, you have to be hundreds of millions of dollars of rich to be able to afford something like that.
But don't those people rent it out to other people while it's not being used?
Yes, so that's how it works actually. Is you'll have the owner up here, then the operator, which is the charter operator essentially. We're the brokerage that's underneath that gets the clientele to bring up to the operator. So essentially the owner, though, is the one that authorizes. Sometimes they have what's called owner approval. So they have to authorize the usage of it every single time. But it's given to an operator. That's to recoup some of the, overhead. But then you're flying at 400 hours a month or something like that. And it's just getting used and abused. Plus, you don't really know who's flying your aircraft and how it's being treated. So it's hard to invest in something that's worth so much and then hand it off to somebody basically blindly that's going to lock you into an agreement that you don't know anything about.
Because then it's like an Airbnb. You're like, what parties are happening on this plane? What sort of DNA are now on the walls? What sort of lists, speaking of Palm Beach private flights, what sort of secret lists am I on that I don't want to be on? I mean, it's like people buying these huge mega yachts. It's it's not like the $150 million price tag. It's the crew and the fuel costs and all the shit that's going nonstop.
$5 million a year for some of them to just maintain. That's crazy. You could buy half Fire Island almost for that. Well, not anymore.
If only. So Ethan, real question.
Yes.
Are you in the Mile High Club?
No, not yet. I'm in the airport club, not the Mile High Club.
Ooh, I like the airport club. That's nice. The airport club.
Yeah.
I'm in the behind the airport dumpster club.
There you go.
So I'm working my way up to the terminal.
Yep,
that's
exactly.
my goal. Wait, I want to go back a little bit to your dad's, and I know you had told me that you'd like to be a dad someday. So
Absolutely,
I'm curious. From a son's point of view of two gay dads, do you have advice for our gay dad listeners? For those of us who may think we might be raising a gay kid. Listen, we don't know.
So
we don't know,
terms
but
of what to do.
I don't know how to be good, supportive gay parents for a gay child, because it is a unique, weirdly niche problem to have, is that you don't want to fuck it up, period. But I just think you have such a unique window. So for any gay dads out there who might be raising a queer kid, any advice from your point of view?
I think gays in general are very we don't want to fuck anything up. So I think for especially parents, parents just need to lay off a little bit just in general. But gay parents is imagine that, but double, because it's one of those things where I think a lot of at least my parents' generation, they didn't have such a wonderful upbringing in terms of like the acceptance even now, which is still requires a lot of work, but we've come leaps and bounds from what it used to be in terms of when my parents were growing up. So they project a lot of kind of like controlling or manipulative like behaviors because they want to live out almost like their side of it through their child because they didn't get to have that open of an experience. And like, I think just like laying off a little bit and kind of letting your child discover who they are rather than like you trying to discover through your child who you are, and then like kind of ruining maybe their childhood a little bit or their kind of upbringing and not letting them identify and see who they are themselves. I think that that's probably the biggest piece of advice because my parents were great. They, you know, they sometimes were a little too they laid off with certain things that they needed to be more kind of, I guess, stricter on, or just like helicopter me a little bit more around or on.
Oh, thank goodness you're giving me permission to do more.
Oh God, that's literally what I was just thinking is please don't encourage Gavin because he is the most helicopter parent.
Right.
Oh, there's way worse. But
so that's the thing is like, I, you know, just kind of like letting them float and, you know, be their authentic selves. With your guidance, obviously, on how to be gay and like what to look out for, because a lot of people that do grow up in the gay community that may have gay parents, they didn't necessarily grow up in New York City. So like I had the backbone of like, you know, I don't take shit from other people, but like in these or these suburban communities, maybe, or whatever it may be, like these kids could get bullied and like get killed or something like that. Like they need to be able to like have their own backbone to like know when danger's coming, or, and it's sad to say that, but just like in general, like making sure that they're equipped with the proper people reading or skills or techniques, and, you know, that they're well educated on when to kick somebody's ass, basically, when they need to.
God, I so appreciate that about New York City. I mean, people shit on the city. We all, especially people who live here, we all hate the city, but we all love it. But one of the things is like, it really does keep it toughens you up in a way that I think is very, very valuable, where like there is this like apologist quiet culture of the South and maybe even the Midwest where like you don't have that. And like you said, that can lead to really fucked up things that you're not just willing to like stand up for yourself and punch somebody in the face. Like that girl who punched that other girl. Did you see that? Where she was like, the one conservative girl was interviewing her and calling her like a baby killer or whatever. And she fucking just
was that in New York?
Cocks her in the mouth. Yes. And I was like, oh, I love this city.
That is such a New York thing.
Speaking of the gay community, David had told me before that you do lament what the gay community was.
Yes,
what do you mean by that?
I think there was like a real community. Now it's just people like bitches pulling each other's wigs off. You know what I mean? Like it's like people are so involved in other people's shit, like, and need to be. They make it like their own shit that then they like start spewing shit about, or like, you know, they project their lives or how they would do things into other people's lives, and kind of like, you know, just there's a lot of hate going on behind the curtain, I think. And like, yes, we stand for love, we stand for community, but like it used to feel like more of a community in that like you had the back of the person that you did, your brother or sister you didn't even know. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's just like, how do I drag this bitch through the mud and like, you know, talk shit about them and try to like cancel them. The cancel culture is like a real thing. And I think that it's really kind of toxic. So
I often wonder, though, I've said this before on the show, I often wonder if that kind of change in the gay culture, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel it when I was in college. I feel like if you found out somebody was gay, automatic brother, automatic, you know what I mean? Automatic is in line with kind of our general treatment by culture in general, where we now have gay marriage. Now we are in media. We are in the world a way where we don't need that community in a way where before, if you had to bring each other closer, you're going to get fucking murdered.
Right.
And so I wonder, as our society, as we start wearing our big red dresses and we start praying to Lord Trump, is if as those rights are eroded away, I wonder if that community will start to come back.
Right.
Strong.
And
you know what I mean?
Unfortunately, that's generally what happens, I feel like. But I feel like it shouldn't have to take that type of, you know, I guess, breakdown for us to like band together as a community. I think that like that's what it should be, is like a community, because there's so many people that lost their lives, you know, for what we have now. And I think that like it's a bad example, or we set a bad example in their honor for how we treat one another present day. I think that like, because these people didn't have the opportunity to enjoy or live through what we get, like we should enjoy it for them as if they were here, So I think that that's a big thing, and is now it's just all a competition or, a pissing match as to who can do this or who can do who better, literally.
Yeah. And also just our attention deficit societal disorder of just like, we're all drawn like a moth to the fire for violence and canceling and whatnot. Right. And so, I mean, it's not just the gay community, I think, that suffers from that. It's everybody, but correct. In particular, the gay community. I agree.
Yeah.
So, Ethan, rounding out the interview, I know that we had talked a little bit about you wanting to be a dad, which I love. And so I'm curious, from your pre-dad position, which was where you're at, is what are some things that you imagine you're going to be great at as a gay dad? And what are some things that you think you're not going to be so great at?
I don't think I'm going to be great at keeping up with all the chores around the house. I think that that's going to be a very difficult task. And the constant laundry potentially is probably going to be the hardest thing for me.
I've done 3 loads of laundry just today.
I literally I've been washing every blanket in my house upstairs all day. Yes.
That's the good thing is because my partner now, he's great with laundry and he loves we like balance each other out in that sense. Like, I love doing the nitty gritty kind of cleaning and he likes to do all the stuff like organizing and stuff like that I can't stand. But I think that that's going to be like the hardest thing. And then I think I'm going to be really good at kind of the socialization aspect and like being able to like guide my child into the world and like let them be there, but like, be the backbone that they need in terms of just being strong. And like my babysitter, and I get a lot of this from her, when I fell on the park or some kid pushed me when I was like 5 or 6 years old in the playground. And I ran over to her crying and screaming and like, hoping for some sort of, I guess, a treatment or whatever. And she's like, if you don't go back there and kick his ass, I'm sitting you in timeout on this bench right now.
Wow.
So, like,
nice.
That's kind of like, she would push me in ways that like, were like helpful for me. So that's kind of what I want to bring to my child. And I think that that's something that I'm good at. I feel like leading. So I think that that's something that like, I think, for my child that, I'd like to kind of implement into their life and have them take on or pass on.
Leading us into a better world, one black eye at a time.
Right. Or private jet, depending on where you are.
Or private jet. I can punch a bitch, and I can also rent you a really lovely jet.
Exactly.
You know what we've never done, David, is record an episode of Gaytriarchs from a plane. So I think someday we should charter a Gaytriarchs flight.
Love it.
That would be really
Ethan,
cool.
And just record from up on high just because, just for the novelty of it all.
That would be fun. And then you can join the Mile High Club finally.
I wasn't implying that, yes, but sure, it'll be a package deal.
Oh my God, Ethan! Thank you so much for demeaning yourself by being on our stupid little podcast. This has been very informative, and I love your point of view, and I also think that you're going to be a great dad because you're going into it with this like excitement of taking stuff that worked in your childhood and excited to change some things that didn't, and that I think that specific point of view is always the best way to make a dad.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So obviously we talked in Act 1 about me traveling a lot. One of the things I discovered on this recent flight in and out of Chicago O'Hare was United now on their little television platform has an opportunity for you to listen to air traffic control live. And so the guy...
I know nothing about the world, but I do know that you have been allowed, if there were radio signals of some kind, you've been able to do that since the 80s and probably since the 50s.
But not on your plane, your pilot live talking to somebody else.
Yes. I know somebody who used to work for American Airlines out of Dallas. He's my great uncle. No, my uncle once removed, whatever, a family member who said that he used to, that's what he lived for, in like the 80s that you could listen to it somehow. Anyway, sorry, I'm just shitting.
You're just shitting all over my something great. It's fine. It's fine. But that's fine.
And all over your moment of awe. Literally. So anyway, sorry. Right back to you.
It's
Please
just
go.
Amazing how you shit all over me. I mean, I'm the victim here. I would like everyone, all the listener out there to understand. But it was so fun because first of all, they were like, "Oh, we're the only airline who's doing it right now." But I was like a little nervous because they first said like, "Here's what the flight number is." Because you hear a lot of different things. And I was like, is this going to make me feel more scared to fly, more confident? Like, what am I going to feel?
Or very in the moment because you're like, I am focused on our plane right now.
Well, that's what it ended up being was like, I didn't understand a lot of the shit because it's just a bunch of numbers and alphas and bravos. You don't know what's going on. But then I heard our guy say, blah, 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 blah. And the air traffic control says, go ahead, turn right at this degrees heading, blah, 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 blah. And then the plane started turning right. And I was like, he listened. How fun is that? I don't know why. It was that and watching Abbott Elementary, but I just like, this is super fun. So if you go on a United flight, you go under the tabs, go under audio. It's like movies, TV, audio. Go under audio and you'll find it in there. And it was super fun.
Wait,
so no.
Were you able to double task air traffic control and Abbott Elementary at the same time?
No, you had to choose
that
one.
Would be.
No, you had to choose.
Was it constant banter in your ears?
It was. I only listened at takeoff because after a while I was like, this is boring. And also once they're at cruising altitude, there's not a lot of chit chatting. But I did want to hear kind of like, I did want to hear is like, no, you know. So,
although also not funny at all.
Not funny. God, this has been a really dark episode. I apologize, listener. I'm sorry. Just skip to the next one.
Well, my something great this week is super entertainment oriented just because I have two friends who are opening Broadway shows this week and I am so stoked for them. Stacey Arnold, Stacey McCleskey. I just inverted their name. Stacey McCleskey, who is probably not a listener of the show, though she should be, is opening in, is it Boop, the musical? About Betty Boop. And then Jackie Arnold they're both leads also, like front row of the bows, and Jackie Arnold is opening in Smash. And I am just so stoked for them. And I'm a little jealous, of course. I'm watching their videos of their shows and everything. And I'm like, I do miss it. It. So, it is that season openers of all of these shows for the Tony season, and that is always something great. And
that's our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, stop it. You can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can Delta Mango us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at DavidFMBond everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge in your ears in the air.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll share our opening night with you next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs. So welcome to Gaytriarchs After Dark.
Oh, Jesus.
Where we ask a few more dark and dirty questions. Ethan, tell us about your Grindr thing. What's your Grindr thing?
Trip, what is your travel?
Yeah, what is it?
So I got messaged by this casting agency, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be like a porno thing, like whatever. Like, and it almost went to spam. It looked like
just
spam.
A hoax, a complete hoax.
Literally, right. Yeah. So this was on election day, actually, of 2025. So it was, or 24. What am I saying?
When we were still positive and optimistic.
Right. Exactly. So
and then you got this email from Colby Knox. You're like, ooh.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. It was like where is he next? But yeah, so it was this casting agency that was in Spain, and I was like, okay, well, this is a bit strange. And they were telling me like what the project was, and essentially it's Grindr's hoster travel. So they go, you go around the world essentially and visit other places as if you were a local yourself. And that's kind of, the premise. And you get to utilize Grindr to be able to meet people and kind of use it in a different way than one usually does.
Mm-hmm. Let's be real.
So they were like, we think you would be great for this project. Like they were the casting agency. So they had to like take all of our submissions, and then the Grindr team evidently, or, kind of was the eventual decider in that. But I submitted my whatever, my what do you call them, a casting tape or cast. It was not under.
Did you have
to
sing?
Bowl, though.
Did you have to sing and dance or anything? Was there 16 bars?
No, there was not any of that, and there was no like dick sucking or anything else like involved there. But essentially, like I just told them like why I love to travel, who I am, where I grew up, what kind of like similar to this, and I get a call or an email, I guess 2 days later. At this point, Trump had declared his presidency. So we were all kind of depressed. And this was my one thing, my one silver lining, because I had the opportunity to potentially go somewhere out of the country. But they wanted to set up, I guess, an interview with the director. And the director and I like hit it off immediately. And he was great. I mean, he's my age, which was crazy. But yeah, and so he really liked me and then submitted me to the Grindr team, and they were like, yes, let's do this. So they flew me out to Taipei, which is, a place I had never been. And it was for 3 days. I mean, it was the craziest thing I think I've ever done. I've done some pretty crazy shit.
Yeah.
But, this was like really one of the most special, like kind of like identity moments for myself, because it wasn't just like the kid that had 2 dads that I'm known for. It was like me that like, it was a very special moment. And like, I think that being able to see such a different place of the world and see how they look at gay individuals as being Asia, China, like specifically, but they're the only place in that area that really, I guess, accepts or acknowledges the community.
Yeah.
And they do it like they are very in your face about it. And it's very accepting. Like I was walking around with a drag queen named Sandra Ho in the middle of the markets at night. And like, I mean, we could barely even walk. There were so many people that wanted to take photos. There were so many people that like loved kind of what we were doing. And it was just a very cool experience to see that. So yeah, that's coming out on Thursday. And I'm very, very excited to
Thursday. What's the date?
That's the 24th.
Oh, perfect. So tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow.
Oh,
awesome. What? Well, no, tomorrow when this airs.
Oh, tomorrow. Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, listener.
He looked at sorry, listener.
Spoiler.
We're pulling the fourth wall. Yeah.
And where do we catch this? Do you have
so it's going to be on their
Grindr?
YouTube? Yeah. So it's going to be on their YouTube platform as well as their Instagram. And
so everyone out there, download the app Grindr, and when your husband gets mad at you, you could say, "I'm just here to watch
use the new
TV
Rome
show."
feature. Right, exactly. You're watching a new TV.
Yep. I'm just watching TV, guys. Don't worry.
It's education and information. Well, Ethan, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being here on our first new series called Gaytriarchs After Dark.
We're not calling it that.
Hey!